Hello everybody, my name is Ricardo Espaillat and welcome to my economics lecture series wherein we tackle the book Man, Economy and State by the great economist Murray Rothbard. Today we're going to be analyzing the last section of the chapter titled Action as Exchange. Although we have previously hinted to human action being always an exchange, in this last section Murray Rothbard goes into a little bit more of detail and wants to give more of an explanation because this is a very profound concept that lies at the foundation of all economics, the fact that human action is an exchange. Now, if human action is an exchange, then what is it an exchange of? Human action is an exchange from a less satisfactory state of affairs to a potentially more satisfactory state of affairs. Now the reason why I say potentially is because you could be wrong in your action that you did or your choosing of certain means in order to obtain your ends. Because if it were just immediately just from a less satisfactory to a more satisfactory state of affairs, then it would be that you have perfect vision of the future and you just, we're boss, But unfortunately, sometimes we make mistakes. And the less mistakes we do, the better off we are, and we learn from mistakes, etc. But basically, human action is an exchange from a less satisfactory state of affairs to a potentially more satisfactory state of affairs. And the interesting thing about going from these state of affairs is that when you go from one state of affair, this is me now and then me trying to explain, or you watching this video or you wanting to do something else, you are faced with alternatives. And you choose basically the alternative that you value the most. And it could be, for instance, let's say that after you watch this video, you could either go to sleep, you could talk with your friend, you can play a video game. You will do that which you value the most. That's what you're going to do. But the important thing to realize is that you have alternatives and you have possibilities to choose from. Now, in your mind, all of these ends that you could follow have a certain value in your mind. For instance, you, after you're done watching this video, talking with your friend is probably valued a lot more than you going to sleep, because maybe something happened over the weekend that you really want to talk about with your friend, hence you talk about it. And you going to sleep at that instant is the psychic cost, let's call it. It's the end that you are giving up or you're foregoing in order for you to talk with your friend. And if after you talk with your friend and the conversation turns out great and you have a great time, then you've basically made a psychic revenue. In other words, the value in your mind of talking with your friend was greater than the sum of all the values that you had to give up when you chose to talk with your friend. Alright? And it's not that these values have a numerical or an objective. That's another video that I covered that. But in your mind you feel some sort of reaction, right? That tells you whether or not you were right or wrong. You just feel it. And that's basically the point of human action as an exchange from a less satisfactory state to a potentially more satisfactory state of affairs in the context of your values and ends. And I say in the context of your values and ends because everybody has different values and ends, as we've talked about in subjective preferences, of course. And another major point that this section covers is that human beings or men, by the virtue of their existence, must always act. Human beings must always act. It's just something you constantly do, whether or not you want to or not. You must always act. And the reason why I say that is that as long as you are conscious, and I say conscious, I mean being capable of perceiving reality, not just your body lying there and you're not being capable of perceiving it. So as you're conscious, you're faced with the alternative of choosing, the alternative of acting. You must constantly be acting in your mind. You're looking somewhere, you're thinking of something, or you're just evading reality. Whatever it is that you're doing, you're constantly acting. The reason why I want to emphasize this is because some of you, or some might argue, that if you're physically not doing anything, just laying down in a chair, you might say, well, I'm not acting. So this whole theory of action is wrong. You're not acting. Well, by you sitting down and staying sitting down, you are deciding to stay sitting down. And even if you're deciding and you're thinking of something implicitly, implicitly or explicitly, you have the faculty of choosing of what to think. Some people have the explicit ability of saying, I want to think of this instead of thinking of that. Some people implicitly don't have that faculty, but they just randomly think, but it is in their mind, they're choosing among things and they are acting as conscious beings in their mind, even if they're just sitting down. And by them sitting down, they are saying, I want to sit down, and they stay sitting down. So, two main points, basically. The one that we just covered is that human beings, by virtue of their existence, always act. They always act, unless you're dead. And number two is that human action requires an exchange from a less satisfactory state of affairs to a more satisfactory, potentially more satisfactory state of affairs. And with that in mind, hopefully you understood the section. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments section. And of course, really quick, all this can be applied in economic context, consumer goods, capital goods, etc. But the important thing is that you always, when you move from a less satisfactory state to a more satisfactory state, you choose among alternatives and you pick the one that you think will give you the most value. And if you're right, it will determine the degree of your psychic revenue, and if you're wrong, it will determine the degree of your psychic loss. And you must always act by virtue of your existence. And that's a philosophical question, or a philosophical answer. But anyways, with all that in mind, hopefully you enjoy this, and I'll see you next time.